Stop learning for the sake of learning. Start implementing what you already know. Most of us guys, what we do a lot is we love to learn. We truly love to learn. We consume a lot of information, from podcasts to YouTube videos to books, everything. Because when we consume this information, we think that we are moving forward, that we are one step closer of finding that missing key that will unlock an old aspect of our life. But the thing is, and what we do wrong, is we just consume for the sake of consuming, and we just hop on from book to book, YouTube video to YouTube video, without truly putting all that information in practice. And the thing is that information just goes to the back of our head and ends up being just empty space without use, because we don't put anything in practice. And let me give you guys just an example. This is me when I was 20 years old. I was truly into sexuality and girls, everything. I just truly wanted to be the guy that was able to satisfy girls. So I consumed a lot of information, everything there was to know about satisfying girls. I consumed it. Books, YouTube videos, courses, everything. And at the time, I just thought I was the shit because I consumed everything there was to consuming. But I did one thing wrong. I didn't put anything in practice because I was just too afraid of that uncomfortable situation. I was just too afraid of exposing myself to that situation, of the possibility of failure, just straight up. So I didn't put anything in practice. I just consumed for the sake of consuming. And what ended up happening was I was not able to satisfy girls. And for us to understand why this happens, we must first truly understand how the brain works and how do we learn. There was a study made, I don't know the name of the study, but basically they separated two groups of college students. The first group studied for a test where they just consumed the information, they just studied the information, the theory basically. And the second group studied the information, but right after studying each information, they did a quiz where they put their knowledge on the line. And the results were that the second group just completely outperformed the first one, completely by a big margin. And this just shows us how the brain works in acquiring knowledge. When you first consume a piece of information, your brain, if that piece of information it's not right after put in practice, if the brain doesn't see that you can apply that information in a practical way in your day-to-day life, your brain will determine that that information is completely useless. So the best way for you to learn is just apply that information, because that way your brain will identify that information as vital, as important, because it will see that information as a utility in your life. Okay. Also, I don't know if this ever happened to you, but basically you learn better when you expose yourself first to experience, because that way you know where to apply the knowledge. I'm gonna give you guys an example if you don't understand what I'm saying. I don't know if you guys know this book, but great book, The Way of the Superior Man. Truly recommend it. But the first time I read this book, I didn't have a girlfriend. Matter of fact, I didn't have a lot of experience with girls. So I read this book, and in my mind I was, okay, seems like good information, but it doesn't make sense to me because I didn't know where to apply this knowledge. It just didn't make sense to me. But then I got a girlfriend. I exposed myself to a lot of experience. Even though I knew little about girls, I faced some problems, I will be sincere in that case. But then I reread this book, The Way of the Superior Man, and it all made sense to me, because now I knew where to apply this knowledge. And it was just way easier to learn this information because it made sense to my brain. I knew where to apply this knowledge. And with this example, it truly represents the way that I think we must learn and implement everything in our life. We must first expose ourselves to massive experience and fail. Because let me tell you guys, I don't care what you guys say, failure is the best teacher that life could give you. Because most of us, I used to be that guy that saw failure is as a bad thing, as a thing that I must run away from because it was painful. But failure truly just says what you don't have right now and can improve, just points you to the way that you must follow. So failure is truly the life's best teacher, because now you can see what is missing in your skill set or knowledge base, and you can learn it. And this time you can learn it much faster and better because you know where to apply this knowledge. You are not consuming this knowledge for the sake of consuming. You are consuming this knowledge with a purpose, with a practical base, and you now know where to apply this knowledge. And then you just repeat, because the learning process is just like this. You expose yourself to experience, you fail, but now you see what is missing and you learn. Then you repeat, you fail again, this time smaller because you have more knowledge, but now you see what is missing again and you learn it and you repeat. And this is how the best of the best get where they are. Truly, you don't need to be the guy, the shit. Just need to fail enough and learn and repeat. That's all it takes.